Hello and good afternoon here from Vienna. We have just started the webinar. We would like to let people come in and give them like 1 more minute to join. So we will start in a minute. Thank you. Good, so let's start. Good afternoon from my side. My name is Katharina Schilling. I'm the head of Secretariat of IWD, which is the International Association of Water Utilities, Water Utility Associations, and other stakeholders in the Danube region. Welcome to the webinar, which we call Welcome to WOP SEE. And this webinar will talk about enhancing water services through collaboration in the Water Operators Partnership Platform in Southeastern Europe. We, IWD and UN Habitat and GWOP, the Global Water Operators Partnership Alliance, have joined forces to hopefully develop the foundation to establish a water operators partnership platform in our region, so Southeastern Europe. And we wanted to let you know in this webinar what our plans are, what GWOP is actually, what WOPs are, and just introduce you into the concept and also provide some feedback from utilities that have joined such water operators partnerships. So that would be the plan for today's webinar. I have great speakers and guests with me today. On the one hand, it's Anne Bousquet. She's Program Management Officer at UN Habitat GWOP. Then we have Valeria Suarez. She's the coordinator of WOP, the Water Operators Partnership Platform, LAC, Latin America and Caribbean. And then as our voices of the utilities, we have with us Rita Studnicki. I'm sorry for any misspelling, from Budapest Waterworks, and Peter Pisurica from Subotica in Serbia. So that's our speakers lineup. And basically, I would hand over to Anne already to provide us her presentation on GWOP and what WOPs are. So Anne, please, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Katharina, and greeting to all from Bonn, Germany. Okay, let me do that dangerous exercise again of sharing screens. Hello, can you see my screen now? And I'm trying to go to the full presentation mode again. Is it still the same? Can you see the whole presentation?
We still see your PowerPoint presentation, not the full screen, but I mean, you just go through it like that. It's fine.
Yeah, let me just check, maybe hide printer with the camera. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I'm not familiar with Zoom, so okay, let's do it this way.
That works now. It's perfect now. If you can, maybe can you see the display settings on the top? There's show taskbar and then there's display settings in the menu on the top. When you click on the display settings, exactly.
What do you want me to do? Is it okay now or it's not?
Yeah, okay, then stick to that. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Go with that. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, so thank you very much for setting up this this workshop. So as Katharina said, I work with the Global WOPS Alliance, which is based in Bonn, Germany, but it's a global program. So I will have five items in that presentation. First, to introduce the concept of WOP and what GWOPA does, what is our global mandate. I will deep dive a little bit on how WOPs work in general, how WOPs are funded. I think it's also an important topic to understand. I will present briefly our tools and approaches to help utilities to help one another, and I will present on the GWOPA membership. And then I think, Katerina, you will also, from your side, introduce what our collaboration is about. So let me just go to the concept of WOP and GWOPA's mandate. So when we are talking about WOPs, some of you here in this audience are familiar, but maybe not everybody. So it's a sort of refresher or introduction. WOPs are water operators partnerships. So they are twinning between two or more utilities, what we call usually a mentor utility and a mentee utility. And they are aiming at developing the capacity of the mentee utility. So the mentor utility is usually a utility that is performing well in all areas or in some specific areas. And the mentee utility is the utility which is in need of help to develop its capacity. WOPs are about capacity building, so it's not about investment, developing the infrastructure, but it's more around training and all kinds of different training, actually, and capacity building activities. It's really peer-to-peer, so it's a bit different from the usual technical assistance on capacity building. It's really engineers talking to other engineers, and it happens also at different levels of the company, technicians and so on. It's not for profit. I think it's also a very important aspect of the WOP. So it's solidarity based. When two partners are coming together, they commit to help one another on a not-for-profit basis. It's not a commercial contract. It's an agreement. And as I said, the aim is to develop the capacity. We have a charter that is also very important because it's the custodian of the spirit of solidarity between the partners. There are really different setups for WOPs. The simplest is a bilateral cooperation, one mentor, one mentee, but in some cases, we can have one mentor mentoring different mentees. We can have several mentors co-mentoring one mentee. Some WOPs are happening at the national level. Some are happening between two countries in the same region, and some other WOPs are even across the regions. So that's really like the simple, let's say, concept of WOPs, which is at the core of GWOPA mandate. So GWOPA stands for the Global WOPs Alliance. We are hosted by UN Habitat. It's an UN program. UN Habitat is the UN Agency for Urban Development, and we are set up in the Urban Services branch of UN Habitat. We were established 15 years ago, so we already have a long history as a program, as an alliance, and along this quite long life for UN program, we really increased the momentum for WOPs, and we developed lots of tools and materials to make those partnerships more professional, more sustainable, more robust. And we also help to mobilize funding for those projects. So we are an alliance of partners. We are a relatively small secretariat here in Bonn. We are doing both a bit of implementation, but also a lot of normative activities. So developing tools and material, I will present them briefly after. And we are also here to foster really this network of partners. And this is why we came to collaborate with the Danube Water Association, as we would like very much to see also more WOPs happening in the region in a more streamlined, more structured manner, and also helping to mobilize funding for the region. We, as an alliance, we also have a lot of space for utilities to express their voices and express their needs. So we are structured with a steering committee that meets annually with representatives from the different constituencies we have. And we have a general assembly happening every 2 years. And as the secretariat, we are coordinating those entities. The steering committee is important, especially in light of its collaboration with the Danube Water Association, because the idea is to have a permanent seat observer at the steering committee for the region, for the regional platform WOP SEE. And there will be also a seat available for utilities from the region through elections to become a member of the steering committee. The steering committee is really for us a group of WOPS ambassadors that will also disseminate the word about WOPS, and that help us also to really streamline the voices of the utilities from the ground and understand better their needs and have this connection also with our basic constituencies. So, as I said, we are a global program, so it's a small secretariat, but we rely a lot on our alliance, which is global, and we are structured with regional WOP platform and also national WOP platform when they exist. Usually these are utility associations because they are the natural ally or partner for WOPA. As you can see, there was a gap here in the whole Eastern European region, and we hope we can fill out that gap soon. The role of the platforms are to really coordinate WOPs in their region, being this entry point between the local constituencies and the Global WOPs Alliance, disseminating tools, methods from GWOPA to help their members to implement their WOPs, to document the WOP practice at the regional or at the local level. And they are usually engaged in all our international events as well. They help us raising the voices of the utility in all the UN conferences and processes, like the last one being the Decade Water Commitment for 2013 Europe, that happened in New York, for example. So this is how we are structured. I can also, I think Valeria will also give some examples. We are tracking the global WOP movement. Most of the WOPs at the moment are happening with the Global South, but we want to track better what is also happening in your region, and we want to have you on that map very soon as well. I want to give an example of some of the WOP projects that the Secretariat helps coordinate directly, in some cases also with some other WOP platforms. So we have a current very active collaboration with one of the Directorate General of the EU, DG INPA, for international cooperation. We have currently 22 active projects, and we're going to have a second phase of this big WOP program in the near future. To understand a bit better concretely how WOPs are working, so I talked about capacity building, utility helping one another. So usually we have 1 to 2, 3 year WOP program. That's more or less the span of WOPs, but they are also very diverse. Some are shorter, some can be longer. And usually they start with a diagnosis of the mentee utility where they look into their priorities in terms of capacity building, where the main weaknesses of the mentee utility lie, and together, the mentor and the mentee, they develop a short-term action plan to address the gaps of these shortcomings. It's important to understand that in a WOP, it's not like in the classic technical assistance where you have a consultant that will come and do something for the mentee utility, develop the asset management system, or in that case of the WOP, it's really the utility itself with its own staff that will be fully responsible for implementing the recommendations that are jointly decided through the short-term action plan. So the mentor is not doing for the mentee, but the mentor is helping the mentee to do by itself. And I think that's very important in the mindset and the spirit of the WOP. So usually there is then from that diagnosis mission, development, short-term action plan, which is developed. Then most of the time, there is also an exposure visit from the mentee to the mentor to get to know the mentor better, to see what are the good practices in some areas. And then there are several training capacity building missions from the mentor to the mentee to follow up on the implementation of a short-term action plan, to deliver classroom training, on-the-job training, demos. This is happening at different levels. Most of the time also those projects are the building up also friendship and confidence between the two partners. So it's not only an exchange during those missions, but it's an open channel permanently to ask a question, to get clarification, virtually through online calls or chats. So that's a very holistic approach as well in terms of how the information is exchanged. So usually that's around 1 or 2 or 3 years. The longer the better, because that takes time also for the mentees to absorb the new knowledge, to make it really embedded in its new working routine. So we are recommended to have longer WOPs. Sometimes some mentees also develop together with a mentor medium or long-term performance improvement plan and investment plan. That's one of also the deliverable, let's say, of WOP projects. I wanted to show a little bit the financing of the WOP because we're going to also talk about fundraising for the region. You can see here that it's very diverse how much WOPs cost, basically. It's usually quite economical compared to the classical technical assistance through consultants because, as I mentioned, the partnerships are not for profit. So either the mentees volunteers its time and its experts, or there is a compensation of the staff time, but which is not commercially compensated. So it's always, the costs are quite reasonable and most of the budget are for travel and accommodation and logistics. There is a big half of the WOP that are between 100,000 and 1 million. It's a broad range, I know, but it also depends, of course, on the duration of the WOP. A 1-year WOP will be de facto less costly than 3-year or 10-year WOP. Like the big one you see there that are more than 1 million usually are very longer term WOPs. For example, the Dutch have very long-term WOPs, like 10-year WOPs, and very often we also have quite a significant component on procurement, equipment, and even sometimes a bit of infrastructure development. So of course the envelope increases, but the more traditional WOPs, which are really capacity development, they are more around 200, 400, 500,000 US dollar over 2-3 years. And you have quite short-term WOPs that are much cheaper, especially if they are in the same region. Maybe Valeria, you can also give some example here that are around 50,000 or 100,000. And I will also show you some example of sources of funding. In some cases, this is the case in the Netherlands, in France. We have some solidarity mechanism for the mentor utilities where they can mobilize 1% of their turnover and they can use it for international collaboration. So that's one of the sources of funding, but it's a bit I wouldn't say anecdotal, but it's unfortunately not very spread yet. But we are lobbying at WOPA with government to try to install this in more countries because it's a very interesting source of funding and very easy to mobilize. There are some national WOP dedicated program where, for example, Waterworks, it's a big utility platform from the Netherlands that got a lot of funding from their Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Development Agency, and that they are helping, I think it's more than 25 operators from the Global South to develop their capacity over 10 years. So it's a very long-term program, which is working very well, and we are collaborating quite well with them. Sometimes you have also specific donors that are mobilizing funding, either at the country level or for WOP program as well. We had ICID for Latin America. We have the French Development Agency. We had Bill and Melinda Gates. We had the OPEC Fund, USAID also. So that's all another source of funding. In some cases also the multilateral bank or development banks such as ADB have a dedicated funding for WOPs through their technical assistance linked with investment. So that's also an interesting channel. And then there are some multinational WOP dedicated programs, such as the WOP, which we were lucky to mobilize recently. Yeah, I'm not going to show too much detail here, but in some cases also, there is always a counterpart contribution from either the mentee or the mentor itself, but that really varies with donors. But some, for example, in the U program, there was no requirement for such, and still there is an in-kind contribution from the mentor, which is quite important. These are all the donors, for example, that have been mobilized throughout the last 15 years to fund the WOPs, and we hope to increase that portfolio of donors. I'm not going to present this, but yeah, I just wanted to give some hints also. So I think there is a big potential for WOPs to tap into topic-specific funds, and the latest funds that really are gathering momentum are all the funds related to green, climate, sustainability, or sanitation funds. But the WOPs have to be aligned with those topics. And of course, then the big typical WOP dedicated programs such as the EU. We hope also to increase in the future also the funding coming systematically with investment from the development bank under their technical assistant component. And that's also something important we could target for the region. WOPA, I don't want to go too much into detail, but as I said, in the last 15 years, we have helped our partners to make their WOP more efficient, to boost the efficiency of the WOPs. So we have developed a series of tools. We have a WOP data portal, which is a global WOPs observatory where we can have statistics about the WOPs. It gives also an idea of which utilities have been mentored, which utilities have been involved as mentees, the topic, the length, the source of the funding. So it's an important tool for us also to understand better the local dynamics of the WOPs. But it is not exhaustive. It is as good as the WOP we can track. And so it's always a work in progress. But yeah, we are making an effort to keep it updated and to increase on it yearly. That's what helps us to have this kind of maps, to track the global WOPs movements. It helps to understand what are the main topics and help to understand what are the main needs and we can have the statistics disaggregated at different levels. Alors, another super important tool that we are availing to our members and to our partners is our community of practice online, which is really like the portal for the WOP family worldwide. We started to develop it together with Waterworks, which is this big Dutch WOP program, and for our EU program as well. But along the years, like there have been more and more WOP practitioners joining. And it's a very active portal hosted by Workplace, sorry. It looks a bit like Facebook. It's very intuitive and easy to maneuver. And it's active for technical discussion. We organize technical webinars through this portal. People can post a question and reach to technical experts in different working areas. We have 10 big themes now structured through the COP. And that's one of the aspects also for the project, for the Eastern European, Southeastern European region with the Danube Water Association, to have an active platform also for utilities in the region through the COP. But of course, it has to be filled with contents that has to be active, moderated to make it really enticing and useful. And our strength here is also that it's free. There is no subscription, and I think it's important because some other portals are also good, but they also come with a subscription, which is not the case for this one. We had a lot of material to help utilities that want to engage in WOPs, to help them to structure their WOPs to make them really efficient and effective. And yeah, we don't leave our partnering utilities alone. We really help them and accompany them, and that would be the role also of WOP SEE in the future, if we have a WOP program to help the utilities in their partnering process. So we even have tutorial online. I'm not going to go too much there. We have also planning and monitoring tool online, and that's very important also to track the progress of the individual project once they are launched. It's important because we need also to convince more donors to mobilize funding for WOP, so we need to show results, and that's one of the tools that helps to do that. We have the Global WOPs Congresses as well, which is a very nice celebration of the WOP family. The next one will be in 2025. We still don't know where, but we'll keep you informed. And we will have the General Assembly, the first one, in presence of the whole, almost like under the new charter of the WOP story. It will happen in Cairo in November. It's just before the big UN Habitat event, which is the World Urban Forum. We will have a steering committee here. We will welcome the new steering committee members, and there is at least one seat available for the region. So that goes through elections, but I also will keep everybody informed about that for the members. So that's only for GWOPA's members, organization that have signed up for GWOPA. And I just want to share this last bit about the GWOPA's membership. So that's what we are calling now, actually, to have more utilities from the region joining GWOPA and then aggregating into WOP SEE community within the Alliance. So the membership is open to, of course, first water and sanitation utilities, either private or public. It's also open to utilities association at national level, at regional level as well, but I would insist here on the national level for utility association, because I know that there are a number of them in the region. Civil society organization, for example, also users association. It's important also to have them in the Alliance to get the views of the of the direct users and users. We also welcome trade unions and workers' unions. I think it's also an important aspect in the work of the utilities to have their voices raised in the alliance. And then we have over non-for-profit international organizations such as over UN organization, such as over international multi-stakeholders platform, development agencies, donors. We have even a different status within the alliance. Local governments as well, because we think it's important to reinstall this dialogue with the local governments. Public asset companies in the cases where it's been separated from the operational entity. Research learning institution, it's important to have that. And the regulators. So these are the different constituencies of organizations that are eligible to become members. Again, want to stress that it's strictly for non-commercial entities except private utilities, but it's not for pump providers or equipment providers, because we want to keep the spirit of solidarity, and our network is not for commercial purposes or promotions of products. I show again this slide on the...
And sorry to interrupt, I just need to keep the time or to watch the time a little bit. So if you could come to an end, please.
Yeah,
thank you.
I think that's okay. Why becoming a GWOPA members and by extension a WOP SEE member? It's really for the sake of peer learning, to benefit from all this networking and all the material, the guidance that we can avail, take part in those knowledge network, get a global exposure also just beyond your country, your region, but at global level, participate in the global debate on water and sanitation, help us raise the voice of the utilities and take part in the governance of the alliance. I will just skip that, what we are expecting from our members, but it's quite classical to get to engage, basically. And how to become a member, this, Katarina, I leave it with you. This is the current map of our members already from the region. So we have around 10 members, and we really want to get more organization, more utilities on board to get through that WOP path together. And I will stop it here. Thank you very much. Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Anne. If you could please unshare your screen, or yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. I don't see any immediate questions in the Q&As. Thus, I would like to hand over immediately to Valeria to talk about her experience about operating a WOP platform. How is this working, and what are the benefits to have a platform established in your region? So Valeria, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Katerina. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for inviting me to be part of this presentation. My name is Valeria Suarez. I work at AISA, the water and sewage operator of the city of Buenos Aires in Argentina. And here I coordinate WOPLAC, which is the regional platform for WOPs in Latin America and the Caribbean. So let me share my screen to go through WOPLAC. Okay. Here we are. So Anne presented the concept of WOP, and I would like to come a little bit in detail about the benefits and the challenges of participating in a WOP. So for the operator, the mentor operator who can share its experiences, the benefits would be to share knowledge on a solidarity basis, to give visibility to its experience, the possibility of meeting peers and developing networking, and motivate staff by working with with other people in other countries of the region. And the benefits for the mentee or the operator who needs support are that they can observe best practices on a solidarity basis always, improve management, and develop networking too, meet peers in the region, and give and motivate their staff also by exchanging with peers of the region. The main challenges for the mentee are to receive high management support, otherwise it would not be possible to achieve the WOP, to help the mentee to define objectives and to lead the process. That would be a very important challenge, to lead the process and to keep going through the time of the WOP. And for the mentee, a big challenge will be to identify a mentor, and we can help them from the platform. I will tell you how later. But maybe the mentee has already identified a mentor that he's interested in working with, or the platform can help the mentee to find out a mentor that is an expert in the specific area where it has to improve. Another challenge will be to receive high management support also, to determine the objectives of the WOP that should be limited, that should be concrete and achievable, to be receptive of what he is learning, and to identify best practices through the WOP and then implement them to have results. So, what is WOP-LAC? WOP-LAC is the regional platform for Latin America and the Caribbean. It was created in 2007. It was at the beginning managed and coordinated by the Inter-American Development Bank. And it promotes WOPs and knowledge dissemination in Latin America. WOP-LAC is now hosted by ISA, which is the utility, the water and sewage utility in the city of Buenos Aires in Argentina. It has been hosted by ISA since 2013. We have the Inter-American Development Bank's support. The IDB is our main donor through a technical cooperation. We are part of GWOPA, the regional platform. We have a steering committee of 8 members that help us to promote our work. Our steering committee approves our work plan annually. We meet annually. And our steering committee also suggests topics to work on during the year and to make workshops and webinars. WOP-LAC is a network of more than 100 members that are very, very different, from large utilities to rural cooperatives. We have the advantage of speaking the same language in Latin America. You know, most of us speak Spanish, most of the countries, so it makes it easily for us to share and to exchange. A formal membership is required to be part of WOP-LAC by filling up a form. It's free, but it's formal. And we have some national platforms in different countries that are water utilities associations that work as national platforms, promoting also the exchange of experiences and knowledge. We have COFES, the national platform in Argentina, ANESAPA in Bolivia, ACODAL in Colombia, which has the IDB support also. We have a national platform in Honduras, APSAS, and in Mexico, ANEAS. So WOPs have these steps. They start by the presentation of expression of interest, where we have the participants, the objectives. Then when we at WOPLAC receive this expression of interest, we evaluate that. We see if the objectives are achievable, if the mentor and the mentee are, are well chosen to work together, if there is a match. If we have to look for a mentor, we do so, and we help the mentee to find out the right utility to work with. Then we help in writing the WOP, the MOU. All the WOPs are backed by a document, which is the MOU. It is an agreement between the partners, where we can see the partners' profiles, the agendas of the visits, the objectives, of course, and who will be funding the WOP, the organizations that will be funding the WOPs. All that is written down in the MOU that is signed by the partners. The next steps are the visits and the reports that are made by the partners about the visits. And then we have a final report, which is an action plan that should be presented by the mentee, where it shows in a line of time what he will be doing, which the best practices learned. The final steps are the best practices implementation and the results or WOP impact that can be shown like through the first year, usually after the end of the WOP. What has been done so far in terms of WOPs in Latin America and the Caribbean? 63 WOPs involving 64 operators and 21 countries in the region. We have also worked with operators in Spain with the help of the Spanish cooperation ICID, and with an operator in the USA in one case. We usually coordinate short-term WOPs with a 1 year duration. 60 of our WOPs have been short-term WOPs. The average cost of our WOPs is about $13,000. 54% of them have been totally funded by the IDB. 18% have been funded by others, as GWOPA, ICID, the Spanish Corporation, or local governments. 19% have been funded by the IDB and the partners in different proportions, and 9% have been funded only by the participant operators. In other cases, there's an in-kind contribution by the participants. The amount is at an average of $10,000. And we also have in the region 3 long-term WOPs, one funded by the European Union through the EU WOP program, one funded by the IDB, and one funded by the IDB and the Spanish Corporation. And you can see in the map, like the exchanges made in the period 2022-2024. Some of the main topics of our WOPs in the region have been innovation, commercial management, sanitation, wastewater plants operation and maintenance, that is very important here and is very needed, business management, ISO certification, capacity strengthening in general in the different areas of the operators, water treatment solutions, drought management, water source protection and water source funds protection, water security plans. Rural sanitation is also an important side of our work that we want to develop more and more in the region. and non-revenue water. You can see through the images the different kind of activities in the WOPs, on-site activities, meetings, in different landscapes too. And then concerning knowledge dissemination, which is our second window of work in WOPLAC, we have organized 5 regional workshops, presential workshops, with the support of the IDB, the operators, GWOPA, and ICID, with geographical representation always. These workshops usually are a meeting of 15 or 20 representatives of different operators from the region around one topic in particular, which is interesting and important for the region on a regional level. We have also participated in 7 international workshops organized by different institutions, as GWOPA, the IDB, sub-regional platforms, national platforms, and government agencies. Through these activities, more than 70 specialists have been trained from 37 operators and 13 countries in the region. And we are also very, very proud of organizing webinars after the pandemic. This has been this has become very usual and very useful too, because there's no limit for participation. We have organized 18 webinars in the last years, 4 by WOPLAC, 10 by WOPLAC with other institutions as UN Habitat, FESAN, CIWI, the IDB, 4 with GWOPA, and we have had more than 80 people connected each time. And these are the main topics of our webinars, income and our workshops too: income and tariffs, company social responsibility, sanitation, efficiency in water operations, non-revenue water, resilience, climate change and infrastructure, risk management, floods and droughts, of course, SDGs, SDG 631, and monitoring of SDGs. On the right side of the screen, we have the pandemic times and all the webinars for operators facing COVID and what were operators doing and how they were working in these difficult times of COVID. Also water resource management, circular economy, and rural sanitation. And we also do other activities to promote WOPLAC, to promote the region, to promote our members. We work as a COP sometimes. We facilitate meetings between operators who need to learn about one topic in particular or want to discuss with another operator about one kind of practice or one kind of topic. So we facilitate these meetings and these discussions, bilateral discussions generally. WOPLAC also participates in international events to promote activities like the Global WOP Congresses, the World Water Forum, IWA Congress, ACODAL from Colombia Congress 2, CIWI annual meeting, and Latinosan, which is a meeting for Latin America. And we also develop institutional activities. We have a general assembly every 2 years with all our members to share the activities of those 2 years. We organize our steering committee meeting once a year to share with our steering committee and discuss the action plan and the work plan for the year after. We usually meet our steering committee more than once a year, but that's a fixed meeting to discuss the work plan. And we participate in GWOPA's international steering committee meetings too, to share with the other platforms, with the other regions, and of course with GWOP. That are some images of our work in the region. Again, workshops, WOPs, different landscapes, different kind of activities, meetings. That will be all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Valeria, and congratulations to all your achievements in Latin America and your platform. I think it's a fantastic role model for us that we can follow. So thanks for now. I'm just checking, no immediate questions right now. Then let me, I know I'm the moderator, I shouldn't take the stage, but let me very briefly show 2 or 3 slides. Sorry, that's the wrong one. Do you see my presentation now? Yes? Okay, good. Let me go to full screen mode. Yeah, okay. Perfect. So why, I mean, how are we as IWD involved in this WOP SEE? The promoting the water operators partnerships and establish a basis for a sub-regional platform in Southeastern Europe. How come that we are involved in that? So just a very brief background. I think it was before Christmas that UN Habitat has published a call for expression of interest to do exactly that, to promote the WOPs and establish this basis for a sub-regional platform in Southeastern Europe. We as IWD, we have submitted an expression of interest and we were selected. And now just very briefly an overview what we are going to do within this year, basically. I mean, we have started our activities after a little bit of negotiations in end of February. And of course, the objective of the overall initiative is to establish the foundations for a future WOP platform for our region within GWOP, and we have identified 5 activities that we would like to move forward. The first one is to promote WOPs and also the GWOP membership in our region. Why is that the case? Because the precondition of joining a WOP is to be a GWOP member, as Anne has outlined. So this kind of webinar, as we are doing it now, is one of the steps to inform our members, but also other stakeholders in the region and other utilities in the region about GWOP, what the WOP platform, our plans, to see what the appetite is basically in our region. In the second activity, we try to assess the capacities of the water utilities in the Danube region to see where the gaps are, where the deficits are, who could act as a potential mentor, who could act as a potential mentee. Just to identify the gaps, the challenges and the opportunities we have. The third activity is we will create and moderate a sub-regional group online through the GWOPers community of practice. And Anne has also outlined that shortly with that, I think, workplace tool it's called, which is a very nice tool to initiate online knowledge exchanges in our region. We will, in November, back-to-back with the Balkans Joint Conference and Exhibition, organize a launch event, including a face-to-face workshop and a matchmaking session within our, or with the potential WOP utilities. So basically, the idea is that until November, we have lined up a number of utilities who are interested to join WOPs. And there we would like to bring them together and to already come up with a matchmaking exercise and see who would fit together with whom and to identify future WOPs. The fifth activity is around the money, because I mean, we have great ideas, but we always need to find the financial support for that. So basically what we're doing now back to back with our own annual regional event, the Danube Water Forum in end of May in Romania, we organize a donors roundtable to identify potential sources of funding, and we will also develop until the end of the year a joint funding proposal with GWOPA for a future WOP platform. So these are the 5 activities that we have committed to. And as Anne has already outlined, I would also like again to call upon you to become a GWOPA member, because as I said, it's basically, that's the first step of getting engaged with GWOPA, but also with this WOP platform in our region, because only when you are a GWOPA member, you can join a future WOP in our region. Please be aware the membership is for free and it's open to institutions and individuals. So I will stop here now. And with that, I would like to hand over to the 2 utilities in our region that have successfully organized a WOP, which are Subotica, which was the mentee, and Budapest Waterworks, which was the mentor, so Rita and Peter. And maybe I would ask Peter at first to provide his opinion and his experience on being a mentee within a WOP, and yeah, what was your experience so far? Thank you.
Hello, good day to everyone. It is a very nice opportunity for me to present some of our things that we had time to learn, and in this, how it says, working with the Budapest utility. This program was held from 2016 to 2017. We, like Menti, had the, I said a few days ago, easier part of this, to learn something new about good practices in working with the Budapest Waterworks. The main things that we had, the main things that we had time to see are the good practices. I can some part of risk management, circular economy, in the part of the drinking water and sewage water treatment, also part of the call center. And I can say that some part of that we implemented, but unfortunately that just the smallest part of that program. We had the opportunity to look how they're working on non-revenue water. It was okay. We had some part of the, how it says, the working about speaking and everything like that, but this some part was practice, and I had the opportunity to see on the night in the night time how they are find where are the leakage in some part of the city where we could have some leakages. And the good things that we find one leakage at the first night are guys that went throughout our system, find one leakage, and we stopped that because that was pretty big, and it was very, I cannot say it was easy to find because we didn't done that earlier. But this was the good thing, where our people, our workers saw what are the bigger and the smaller leakage, and what in what the way they should work in that. To have all this equipment, we don't have it. This is something in the future where we need to think about that, to find, to buy this equipment, and also we will need to work more to find and new workers that have capacity to learn to work in this and thinking in this way, and also to workers that we have now, they can also learn about that. This is some part of that. We had opportunity to have, it was mentioned earlier, we had also regional conference here in Subotica. Mostly people from Serbia was here, and also people from Hungary, where we had this conference where everyone can see what is the good thing and mostly the good thing and the things that are not so good in our company, and where we can learn more about that. And the end of that was very interesting because nowadays we always thought that in Serbia we have enough water and it will be enough in the future, and no one thought about maybe some disasters that can be. And one part of this last day was presentation of water treatment, but drinking water treatment plant that was put in Palić Lake, and we get drinking water from that. And this is something very good to know that in some, and we spoke with the, how it says, the CEO of the Budapest Waterworks in that day, that if we will have some bigger issue with our water quality, that we know that there is possibility to put in operation this kind of plant, and we will have drinking water for our citizens. Maybe this is, I don't know if I said what is good for us, but this is some steps that we learned. We will need to put big efforts to achieve some part that we saw, but we didn't start to implement at all. But for us, it was very interesting journey. And we still have connection with Budapest Waterworks, and we can spoke with them about some problems that we have now. We didn't think that we had in that times, but these connections are still very good for us.
Thank you, Peter. I mean, I think you have outlined perfectly well the benefits of becoming MNT, and I think it's actually probably for everyone obvious what the benefits are. I think a question is, and you mentioned it yourself, I mean, why would you want to become a mentor? What is beneficial for a utility being a mentor of another utility? So maybe Rita, you can enlighten us and let us know what your experiences are. Thank you.
Thank you, Kati, and thank you, Petra. It was really good to listen to this. Just a couple of words. Budapest Waterworks is an old utility. We've been operating for 155 years. And I think when we talk about our motivation, it's very important to mention that we are working internationally, not only in WOPs and not only in non-profit projects, but we also work for profit as well. But why we are working internationally? On the one hand, of course, we need the revenues like everybody else in the water utility sector. But the other side is for the people, because you may have similar problems in the region that sometimes it's really hard to keep the good colleagues and to get the good colleagues, the good young people for a utility company. Quite simply because we cannot offer as much money as another type of sector or another type of company. And international projects, being exposed to international experience, being able to be part of some vibe in Europe, outside of Europe, outside the country, even within the country could be possible, is always very attractive for our colleagues, and we find it really motivational. and on the other hand, when we talk about what we learn, is that we actually, of course, learn a lot from these corporations. So we see other utilities doing things in a different way, and I think it was also part of this EU WOP program now that it's not only a one-way learning, but it can be a two-way learning as well. And it may become actually more and more important as the water scarcity issues start to occur more and more often. So yeah, maybe we in Europe can learn from utilities who have been dealing with this kind of problems more than we have. Yeah, so we are also learning other things. Our colleagues find new information, new systems, and they also have a kind of like they can step out from their role, their everyday work, and they can look at their own work from a different kind of perspective. And sometimes I think, especially if we've been doing the same thing or similar things for many years, it's really good to freshen up, to try to somehow explain why we are doing what we are doing, and to see how another company would do things in a different way. And these other companies can be very different in size and structure. So at the moment we are working in the EU WOP program. We are just finishing up our second year, working with two mentees from Pakistan, and they are of very different sizes. One is an 11 million city, and the other one is a 300,000 people city, and they work in a very different environment than we do. So there are a lot of things that that they have to solve that we don't, and that really help us to try to think of new solutions, being more creative whenever we bump into some kind of problem. And on the other hand, why we are also here in this WOP SEE meeting is that we are active in this region. So we are, of course, I have seen a couple of familiar names among the participants. So we are interested in doing other projects in these regions. We think that these kind of cooperations, especially I think between Hungarian and Southeastern European companies, is a bit like a natural partnership, because we have been neighbors for so many years, and we have gone through so many similar steps of development. So I think we can understand each other's language a bit better. So we are really, fingers crossed, for this WOP SEE to set up, and we hope we can be part of it. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Rita. And yeah, I mean, we will do our best to convince donors to support this initiative. With your last sentence, basically, you already made a perfect connection to one of my questions, because I don't see any open question right now in the Q&A box. Which was the language, because I mean, yes, I totally agree. We are the Danube region overall, I think countries basically have similar kind of background. We understand each other in one way. In the other way, we are very different. I mean, a lot of very small countries, different languages. I heard from Valeria, you don't have a language issue really, because you speak a lot. Most of you speak Spanish, so that's rather easy. But I mean, how do you overcome any kind of language barriers in a WOP? Like you, Rita, now with Pakistan, for example. I mean, I know it from IWA, the International Water Association, they always say our common language or joint language is broken English. Is it that way, or how do you handle that?
Yeah, same way. It's the common language is English. it has advantages and it has disadvantages. Of course, if we hire an interpreter to help us in a workshop, then it becomes more precise. On the other hand, it is really marvelous how experts, technicians, technical people can understand each other, especially when they are on the field. Even with broken English, even with no words sometimes, or just drawings, or really with basic words trying to explain something. So this the way this peer-to-peer support and this kind of cooperation also has this motivational side that people want to understand each other. So we are most of the time we are okay with English. Sometimes we find it very much necessary to involve an interpreter, but it's not so often. Like now with the Pakistani colleagues, we just work with English.
Thank you, Rita. Thanks for that. One more question, because you also mentioned the shortage of staff in the water sector, and that basically participating in this kind of activities is with doing that, you can incentivize people to stay in the company, etc. Valeria, Peter, is that something, or even Anne, from your experience with WOPs, is that something that you can confirm? I mean, is participation in a WOP, does it help you to keep staff in your water utilities? Because I mean, the shortage of staffing is in our region dramatically. So it would be interesting to know your experiences on that.
Who will start? Me? Okay. We cannot, in our company, I cannot say that we had this kind of good results, feedback, because this is one good thing for the workers to learn something new and to go to work somewhere else for our company. But because we spoke with the Budapest Waterworks, and Rita also said that they are working globally, and they can, it is maybe more interesting for them to because in Subotica in Serbia, waterworks are working just on our area, and we have this main duties. This is drinking water management and sewage water management, and we are not working nothing further than that. And we cannot, with this kind of new knowledge, we cannot, how it says, to produce more income for our workers. And because of that, we are still not in this position. I think maybe in the future, when one time we must start to how it says, to make income about our knowledge. If we will have more knowledge, we can get more salary or something like that. But still in Serbia, it is not like that. And I cannot say that we had this, how it says, good feedback about finding new workers. But one very good thing that I didn't mention earlier, and Rita mentioned, we had a good way to speak with Hungarian waterworks, because in our waterworks, we are speaking Hungarian, most of us. If we don't speak so good, but we can understand everything, like me. And this is very good because we didn't have that barrier of the knowledge English or any other language. It was so much easier to speak with them, and we didn't have any to say us, okay, when we are speaking about technical language, we understand everything, what is water, what is sewage water, and everything like that, but everything else. But this language is for us was very good opportunity to learn something on our language that we understand, every one of us.
Thank you, Peter. Valeria, and some feedback from your side as well?
Well, I'm not sure that we are short of staff here in Latin America in water utilities, not at all. What I can say is that yes, we have utilities with very, very good experts, and we have utilities that really need to improve their capacities. And the experts utilities are very generous, and the others are very interested. So that makes a good match. But short of staff, I cannot say so, not here in the region.
That's good for you. That's good news
Sure.
for your region. Absolutely. Thanks for that. And from your experience?
Okay, very quickly. Well, if we take the latest workforce studies, it's true that overall there is a crisis in recruitment of new talents and educated people in the water sector because of a remuneration that are sometimes not up to the remuneration that could be found in the private sector, in companies, etc. And from the mentors' perspective, when we had some surveys, definitely WOPs, international cooperation, was mentioned as one of the incentives for young people to join. So that's one aspect. And from the mentees' perspective, we haven't tracked that as such, but by making the utility more profitable, more sustainable financially, the idea is also to start increasing the salary basis. There are a lot of WOPs that are around HR and improvement. So it's on another interesting path. But from the mentor side, definitely this is mentioned very often as beyond the solidarity and the willingness to help others, also a way to motivate the staff. And I think Rita gave very good examples. Thank you.
Thanks, Anne. That's actually very good news for the utilities in our region, that WOPs can support basically recruitment and also retention of staff, because as I said, it's a very critical topic here. So to our audience, really please go on, spread the word about the potential WOP SEE platform. Join GWOPA, because as I said, that's a precondition to also in front of the donors advocate for such a platform, so that they can realize and see the appetite in the region and provide the funding for future WOPs. With that, I would like to thank you, our speakers, for joining us, for your great contributions. I would like to thank the audience for being around and staying with us. And I wish you all a great afternoon and looking forward to see you and talk to you again. Thank you so much. Bye.